Our next speaker is Mrs. Fahima Al Bastaki, the Executive Vice President and Head of Business Development Division in the Dubai financial market. Mrs. Fahima carries a wealth of experience within the financial sector and capital markets in particular. She started her career at HSBC Middle East in 1998, and then in 2004 joined the Dubai financial market to head the Listing and Disclosures Department, where she spearheaded a number of successful initiatives, while doing so attracting many companies to list on the Dubai financial market. By 2009, she also became the Business Development Division head as an expansion to her role. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Fahima Al Bastaki.
Good morning. Oh, we're still in the morning. Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for holding my hand. Sorry, I had an operation in my knee, so I had to ask for help. Thank you very much. Great to be here. It's an honor. I've also attended yesterday to hear some of the inspirational speeches. Some of them I really liked, so I decided to stay for some of them as well. And I'm here today again. And with this creativity panel discussion, it's actually a different world which I don't belong to. So I hope my presentation, which is a little bit more technical, don't bore you today. And I hope you enjoy it. I normally give a lot of technical presentation to different types of audience, but the organizers have asked me to give also a little bit background about my career and how did I end up into the sector which I'm working for, which is the capital market, i.e. the stock market, which is also part of the whole capital market. So I'm going to present to you my first slide, which I've just prepared just for the sake of this day. I normally don't share these things with the other audiences. Okay. So when I was young and I was small, I had a lot of dreams. I used to hold a brush in front of mirror. I used to watch lots of singers, and my dream was to actually sing one day, or maybe be a TV presenter, or somebody that can just, show off. I used to kick my sister when a video was, visited, just for me to be in front of the camera. That was actually a dream. But the reality later on, when I was near the school decisions, to go into these subjects, at that time, the families here in the UAE were a little bit restricted in terms of, a lady to be actually presented or, be on the other side of the TV. So I decided to change and go into something else that I like, which is the political science. So, just watching the news, watching the TV made me also love that major. It's not, the point here that I would like to make is that the child, while they grow through the years of experience, until it becomes the right time to choose a subject or to choose the major, it goes through, this takes you through so many things, and then you have to face the reality. Now, when I found what I wanted, I faced another reality. Unfortunately, I was traveling when I wanted to the university that I have selected, the major that I really wanted and I was accepted in, and I could not come back for some reason to enter that university, and it was closed. So I had to face the fact to study something else, and the other choice was business and finance. I thought it's boring, but you know what? Let me do it. So I entered, and that was the reality. That reality changed my whole life. I joined after I graduated one of the very international local banks here in the UAE. It was just mentioned, HSBC. And I consider that the real school. It's not the school that you attend. It's actually the real school. I watched, I observed, I made sure that, my mind is so open to see what other people do. Let me tell you a story that happened to me here. For the eagerness of learning and being the knowledgeable more than to just work. As a UAE national, at that time, we were offered to be trainee officers. What trainee officers mean? That you are ahead of 2 other layers of the customer service. So the customer service was at the front, and then there was a supervisor, and there was the officer in charge. Imagine they gave us this opportunity to be sitting next to an officer who had 40 years of experience. And I had to learn from that person. For 2 years, I had to be doing this job and learning how to actually manage and be in a managerial position at that time. I sat there for a couple of weeks, and then suddenly I realized that that's not what I'm learning. Just a push of a button, review something, and just press the button of approve, it wasn't enough for me. So I've asked the management of the bank at that time, can I pull my chair and sit in front of the customer so that I can have the customer interaction? They were very surprised. They said, yes, you can do that, but why do you need to do that? You don't have to. You just need to review what they do and approve. But that was end of the story. I said, no, I'm going to sit there for a couple of months, and believe me, I loved it, that I was interacting with the customers, and I learned all the knowledge out. And one of the things also that I try to do just to focus on the knowledge part of it and not only receiving information is also I stayed back after office hours to go to the back operation to see what the banking system is from the operational side, even though I was facing the customer. Then I gradually became a leader of a team through my 6 years of experience or 7 years of the bank. At the 5th year of working at the bank, there was another era, or another era actually, I'll call it. Why? Because in the financial sector or in banks, we did not have something called financial services here. It was very famous in UK. It is very famous that you have financial advisors over there. But here in the UAE, we did not have banks that offered funds or offered investment opportunity to individual investors. There was an opportunity for everybody in the bank to apply for something called financial service advisor, a financial advisor manager, to become a financial service. And that required a 1 year of study, certification that's been done from UK, and a lot of hard work. Then I was thinking about it, but many people told me, how, Fahima, you are thinking to move from leading a team, sitting as a manager in your office and having a team of 10 people working under you, and to go into that route, which will keep you, yes, you will keep the same grade, but you will end up with a title that says the financial service advisor, or somebody who will be advising customers. So you will not have a team, you will be on your own individual. Then I was thinking, and I did the decision, and thank God I did that decision. It's not always about it's not always about what you are now. It's always about what you are looking for it in the future. Always look at the sector rather than the things that you do. Yes, banking was growing, but what are the sector that is going to grow? So that sector, the financial sector and the services of the financial sector was really, I wisdom at that time that it's really growing. So I decided to, just take that decision, and I've done the decision. I also remember in step 5 here is my vision. When I was working at that time, the stock market, by the way, was not yet open. So it was in 1998 where I was doing this certification, and 2000 I got the actual certification to be a proper financial advisor. The stock market opened in 2000. I remember one of the editors, actually he's the founder, I don't know if anybody knows him, I can't recall his name, but the magazine called Money Works. So the founder of the Money Works magazine, the first edition of it, they made an interview with me. And one of the questions, because I was an Emirati, so they thought, let's have an interview with an Emirati that works for the financial sector. And one of the questions that he raised was, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Imagine what my answer was. The stock market did not exist. Nothing. I was just thinking to do this course or enter the financial services and be a different banker that has, you know, a lot of skills in selling funds and stuff. So my answer to the editor was, I want to see myself in the financial world and the investment world and a financial market, the stock markets. In 2000, the stock market was open in Dubai. And while I was working in HSBC, I eyed that place and I was targeting that once I decide to leave my work, I will be definitely joining that place. So you need to, so answering, going back to the panel discussion, there was someone who asked about, you know, how to choose your career. It's not people who will be choosing your career, it's how you would like to shape your career. How do you think? It doesn't come also suddenly. You need to have a lot of knowledge of understanding the sector growth. So what are the sectors? What are the things that is going to come up? You know, the things that I was doing in my certification opened my eyes that there are things that's happening on international practices which we don't have here in the UAE. But I was pretty sure that it's going to happen. That's why I decided to do. So thank God, I don't know if it was a luck or if it was real, but I feel, my gut's feeling felt that I need to go and work in the financial sector later on. So I joined Dubai Financial Market with that vision, and in 2004, when I joined Dubai Financial Market, I also took a leadership role here, and I excelled, alhamdulillah, and from the bio, you will also see it, and it's been mentioned, that I've covered a lot corporate relations, so I was in charge of attracting corporate to the company, and one of the things that I'm proud to say is that I found what are the gaps that were, you know, that a company like Dubai Financial Market needed to focus on, and brought that my international experience and the knowledge that I learned from the banking sector and financial into practice. So there was lots of initiatives that we started to do for the disclosures and the transparency of the companies that are listed on the market, plus attracting new things. And then later on, I mean, just maybe in the past 2 years, the past 3 years, I can say, you know, after the financial crisis, because the financial crisis moved the whole thing back again to challenges. So we had to challenge ourselves in 2010 and try to create other new things. So what I've decided to do with my team is to expand our business into other areas. So I do business development to attract companies to list on DFM. I also being in charge of promoting Dubai Financial Market among community with the latest digital. I had to also be digitally competent for some time because I have to run with technology as well, even though I have a phobia of technology, by the way. So I plan to do that, and one of the 2 areas that we've added to the business was investor relations, and I'm going to talk about it. Investor relations, as well as something called international investor growth in our market, sophisticated institutional investors. That was the journey that I went through. And I think nowadays I'm trying to be more of a mentoring person. I hope I can be a little bit of mentoring, because that's what they tell me. I do this with my team, but I haven't been much out to mentor people. I've been asked to join an association for mentoring. So I will have, you know, a couple of people that wish to sit with me once a week or once in a month, just to talk about how they can grow in the areas they grow. So let me see if I can also do that. Now, I would like you to guess what could be number 9. Can anyone guess what could be my next step after I'm standing in front of you and talking here? No guesses? Okay, I don't know if it's something funny or surprising, but it's the beginning. Again. See, I'm pretty sure that your life, it will never end from doing more things and more knowledge. I've been seeing throughout my life people who've been working at the age of 80 and they could still take up more things and more job. It might not be only dedicating myself to the work I am doing. I could take the entrepreneurial role. I could be a better mother maybe, or do something else for the society. But if you always think that this is the beginning, it will always end up very nice. But if you always feel that, khalas, this is the end of it, I'm not gonna move forward, I think things will not be as happy as you want to wish. So this is one slide I'm presenting. If you may allow me, I would also like to go through some of my technical slides. Would that be fine? Do you have any questions about this one first, or? No questions, okay. So the purpose of me giving these slides is just to give you a little bit of insight. What are the areas that you can imagine? Pretty sure maybe some of you maybe have already experienced working in the financial sector, but these are some of the questions that I normally receive from the audience that I deal with, whether they are even sometimes students raise these questions, but most of the time, who are the market capital? Is it a real reflection of the real GDP? What opportunities it can bring to the business owners? Many companies, they think that they're not large enough, so is there an opportunity that I can raise capital and go public in the market? What are the information available? This is from the investor point of view. How should I evaluate companies to invest in? You know that in the UAE, or maybe also in the region, the whole region, sometimes the stock markets are really based on retail, like 70% of the market are retail driven, and a lot of them, they're just speculators. What we're doing here is that we're reducing that to have more of a sophisticated investors in the market. So we do educate people on how to select and made the right decisions to select companies. But it's not us. I'm here not speaking about me being the financial exchange. There are other people who are doing these things. Our analysts, our brokers, our advisors. So those are the questions. Now, in the world of the capital market, those are the main people that you actually would deal with. So from a normal banking, dealing with the normal, simple customer, I moved to working with regulators, the other exchanges maybe, that we learn from and we try to have a benchmarking against. And then we have the investment banks, we have the financial services. Investment banks are totally different than normal banks. It could be a division in a bank, or there could be a separate things, and they are the ones who actually help the companies to grow their business. And then we have the legal advisors, audit firm, PR companies, all these places that people could actually explore. So I'm pretty sure that there are students in the room here. One of the areas that you should look at if you're studying finance is not to join banks. Okay, banks are good to be a real school, but try to explore yourself and try to be an expert in other fields in these areas, because those are the areas that needs people, that they're looking for the right people. The Dubai economy is very much, we have a very strong demographic and microeconomics, and the fundamentals are good. So all these factors will help our economy to be shaped. This is a slide about how Dubai growth is driven by a well-diversified economy. We've been given a very good rank, being the main hub in the Arab world, and we are ranked at 17 as a global competitive index. Also, Dubai ranked 4 among top global destinations for travelers. So we have a lot of positive points here that will assure or will give us a kind of a confidence that the economy is still growing. There's still more things to come to Dubai, so even the oil price has dropped, even if there was any other crisis, but there are still positive factors that is supporting the economy's growth. Now, this is a very interesting slide. This slide, you can see they're similar. They both show sectors and both says Dubai. But the difference is that the one on the right, it's this side on your right, it's a DFM breakdown. So you can see that our stock market is very much dominated around financial sector and the real estate and real estate sector, whereas the actual Dubai economy is diversified. So my role at the organization is also to ensure that Dubai financial market is a true reflection of the true GDP and the true economy of Dubai. So all our strategies plan or our plans that we put on, it will be built on what is the gap, what do I need? So if you see here, oh sorry, I thought this is a microphone. I'm just crazy about phone microphones. So you can see that pie chart on the other side, you see trade, you see transportation, and you see the, what is it, the mark? I can't read it very clearly from here, but it's the gray part. So there are other sectors that we can explore, we can dig into. And those are my targets for attracting companies to be on the Dubai financial market. So what is the solution for companies to select is to go public. There are other ways for companies to grow. They can issue bonds, sukuk, they can do private placements. I'm not sure if you heard about many companies here in the UAE. They were owned by a family or a group of people, but then suddenly there were a stake that bought into these companies. And so one of the areas where I got interested in is to find out or to do a study that required to understand why companies go public. And those are a gathering of some of the points that we've gathered in Dubai financial market through the study on why companies actually go public, which is great access to capital, improve stability, credibility with a greater exposure. So people who actually go public could be more credible among industry peers. At the same time, you will also have the international standard adopted in your company. And many of the people who wish to work or join a company, they always say, I want to go and work for a professional organization, or Emirates Airlines, for example, or someone that is really professional in the way they operate. And most of the companies now that have those guidelines in place and everything are normally publicly listed company, because they have to do that for the sake of being disciplined. And the final 2 points is to attract and retain the right talent. I think that is the point that I have just mentioned. And by the way, publicly listed company have the option to have stock options as well. So employees of the company can also share a little bit of stake in the company if a company decided to give stocks to their employees. I'm not going to go into these slides, but it's available if you wish with the organizers. They're just information that investors will consider. This is very nice. For a company to be really attractive to the investor, it's not only their financials that is important, but also other factors like management credibility, the size of the company, the strength, the brand, the reputation of the company. You also have the corporate governance practices. Who is the CEO of this company? Who is running the company? I mean, I remember on our visits to New York, for example, the questions that we got from the New Yorkers or the investors there are totally different than the ones that we used to receive from England, for example. I mean, UK, when we used to visit them. Most of the questions that comes from the American investors are, what are you doing for your employees? Are you paying her enough? Once I got a question that was just raised to our CEO, and the investor was just telling the CEO, is she happy? Are you satisfied with the company? So those type of things really matters for some types of investor. It could not be everybody. So you need to really understand your audience, the type of investor, the type of people that you deal with. So it's not always the same book that you follow. That's one of the skills that I have built up to understand different audience with different styles of and different requirements. I think this is all very technical again. I think the first slide was a little bit of what I have been doing and jumping. And this is also ways where companies could attract investors and analysts to their company. Companies really need to create their story. They need to renew it. They need to bring in new blood to the company's story so that it's not to actually say things which is not the truth, no. But do work on what you have and try to create every year a new strategy or, a new execution for the main strategy you have so that you can actually mention it to the investors that are looking at your company. Then you have the investor, yeah, this is the point that I was going to mention for the people who are looking for exploring a different world. Investor relation as a position was a position that was occupied at the beginning in, I can say in 2007, UAE started to, some companies in the UAE started to open this role, but believe it or not, the name looks simple. It just says investor relations. So in your mind, it is actually the person who will be dealing with investors and with inquiries. Actually, it's not. Imagine companies used to bring experts from outside just to have that role, because in the UAE, this role, there was no talent that could fill in these roles. So we had one of the top IROs, which is investor relation officers, that one of them was in the DP world, and the other one was in, if I remember, Shu'a Capital. It was a company that actually is not very active, but they had one of the best IROs at that time. So the story started here, and then I realized that that area needs to grow. And why don't we have people who actually live in the UAE, students who graduate, I mean, even UAE nationals in this field? Why don't we open this field? So one of the initiatives that I thought about, and that takes me back to the creativity, which the team have actually mentioned. Sometimes you can be creative in the way you create things for the organization. So one of the creativity was to announce something called an IR graduate program. And this program will ensure that we have the new generations adopt and know this skill. Because this is not something you learn at school or at college. Actually, there is no curriculum that would teach what the role of the the investor relation officer, because it's also pretty new. It's only been 20 years or 15 years, even internationally. So we are trying to be leaders in this area. So if you wish to pursue this role, please speak to me after this, and I will tell you how you can actually do it. This is about Dubai financial market. I don't think you are all interested in it, but it just shows that how much of the initiative of going abroad and marketing to the international market, bringing sophisticated investors affected the market. That was I don't have the graph from 2004 when I joined, but I can tell you that from 2007, we had only 12% of traders that are institutional investors and foreign investors, but then now it's almost reaching 30%. So I consider that, and the initiative that I took on as promoting the companies among fund managers internationally was a good addition to this. And I take it back again. If you remember, at the beginning, I told you that I entered and I did the decision to pursue the financial services manager. Just sitting in front of client and giving him his advice led me to actually think of why don't I bring the top funds and bring them to the market here to invest in the UAE. So that's the growth path of the market. And this is one of my favorite slides. The strategy, when you adopt something at work, one of the main things is the continuation of the work. One of the things that I have seen or I've realized when people come with creative ideas or with things that adds on, they just work on it for that year and then they totally forget about it. And then next year they come again in management meeting and they have a new suggestion, suddenly come up with a new suggestion. We had sometimes management or the top manager asking some of the colleagues, okay, every year you come up with something new. I have never seen an end to this. So please end something before you start something new. And sometimes initiatives, you can have a continuation of it. So for example, this plan, the strategy focusing on IPO, here I show you that it's end until 2015. There were things that we've repeated it in terms of initiatives. Now this year, we have new things that is coming up, but adding to the same strategy. So maybe this is one of the tips that you can take on, when you pursue your job or you do something, that you always ensure that when you have a project, it's a continuation thing. It's not something that you just do it for a year and two and then just sleep on it or do something else. It's not achievement when you come and jump with new ideas, whereas your old ideas has not pursued to the actual results. So be result-oriented people. That's the message I would like to give at the end. Thank you very much. And if you want any information, you can have these details. I would like to say something to Maryam, because I promised her yesterday that she was encouraging me, Fahima, you have to speak about yourself. Maryam, before you come, I actually showed them this slide. So, I
hope I'm not there.
Oh, sorry.
When I'm in grade 8 with you behind the main corridor of our school.
Yes. No, yes, I showed them. I'll show you this one. Yeah, so I talked to them about my dream. You remember, Maryam, you remember in the school time, I used to be always talking in the اللي هي شو يسمونها الطابور الصباحي أو مريم خبرتيهم عن أسراري. So one of the things is like the assembly. Do you know the assembly at schools? So I was the master of the assembly. I used to stand in front of people, and that was my dream. So I was telling them my dream was to be a singer, or somebody who could present things. So I used to be very much dedicated to these things and acting and things like that. But then things happened in my life and reality changed. So Maryam, I was just explaining to them and how that reality sometimes could be turned into a success. So that was the journey of my life. Thank you very much. I hope I have not taken much of your time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them as well.